Welcome to this week's Techie Tip. Today we're going to continue our journey in exploring Google Slides. So if you don't have your browser open your browser and type in slides.google.com. This will bring us to our page where all of our slides open. We're going to select our Training on Slides presentation. And we're going to focus on some elements in the File menu, the Edit menu, and the View menu. So let's take a look at our File menu. Here we have many typical Windows-based options. So we can create a new slide or document, we can open an existing slide, we can rename, we can make a copy. Making a copy is pretty simple. You would select this. You would name the copy of your document, but what's interesting about this is that you can also save this particular copy anywhere in your drive. You would simply click on the My Drive folder, and as you can see, you have an option to choose My Drive. You would select the Go to My Drive button, and here you can select any particular folder that you would like to save this in, or you can create a new folder by clicking on the new folder icon. We're going to select a new folder and type in Sample Slides. Select that, and we're going to select that folder to save a copy in. We click OK, and this copy is now saved in our sample folder. If we return to our File menu, we notice that there are a couple of other interesting items here. We can, of course, move this presentation to another folder. We can delete or move it to the trash. We talked about importing slides in our first Techie Tip. We can see the revision history. This is important because if you're sharing a document with anyone else or collaborating a document, you can actually select that option to see who's made changes and who's made additions to your presentation. So that's actually a pretty neat thing if you're working with students or if you have students working on a presentation and you want to see where their work is and who's participating and actually building the presentation. To get out of that, you simply click on the back button, and that takes you out of the revisionist mode. Returning to our File menu, we can also change it to a different language. We can also download it as a different format, a PowerPoint presentation, a PDF, text, a simple image, and of course a couple of other different options that most people really don't use. You can also publish this to the web. If you select Publish to the Web, you can actually determine whether it's going to be a link or if it's embedded in a presentation or a web page that you're developing. We'll close this. Return to our File menu, and you can also include collaborators, email this as an attachment, find out some document details such as where it's located, who's the owner, when it was created, and when it was last modified. Our File menu also has the option to provide some page setup and printing settings. In the print settings in Preview, this is actually a good thing to take a look at before you actually have the kids print the document, because you really want to see what they're printing and if it's the finished product. So you can actually click on the slide without notes, slide with notes. You can have one slide per page, 3 slides per pages, which is pretty traditional. It allows for good viewing and really eliminates too many pages in the printing. You can of course have 9 slides per page if you so choose. You can again download as a PDF and of course print. So let's close Print Preview, take a look and see if there's anything else here in our our file menu that we want to take a look at. And there is one item that I do want to spend a minute or two on. Sharing. Sharing is a great way to allow others to see your document. And the share functionality is pretty consistent with everything that you use in Google applications, or as Google likes to say, their G Suite. It's no longer Google Apps, but they've rebranded this to be G Suite. So you can also get a simple shareable link if you want, and when you select that, notice that it brings up a link. You can identify who can view and who can edit or comment. We'll just use view for now. You can enter people and share specifically with them. You can also determine who can edit that document, who can comment, and who can view. So when you're sharing something, it's really important to make note of how you want people to see this information and how or if you want them to collaborate. You can certainly add a note. And include that when you share the document. Something else that I want to spend a moment with is this little command called Advanced down in the bottom right corner. When you click on the Advanced button, you can change who actually has access to view this. You can simply choose anyone with the link, only folks at Nauset Public Schools, only folks at Nauset Public Schools with the link. That means if you have 4 or 5 people that you just want them to see and review this, only they would be able to open this. Or you can turn this off and not allow anyone to share this. So you can determine what type of access that they can have once you've shared this particular slide or presentation. Again, editing, commenting, or viewing. You can also learn more about link sharing by clicking on this little link right here. We're going to click Cancel and look at one last thing in the sharing box. You can also determine whether or not other editors can change access and allow other people to view or share your document. Sometimes that's a good thing if you really don't want this to be given out to the general world, so to speak. And you can also disable options to download, print, and copy for commentators and viewers. This is a handy little feature if you're creating material that is unique to your presentation or what it is that you're presenting in class. So we will click Cancel here and click Done, because I really don't need to share a test slide presentation. So that pretty much finishes up the File menu. Let's take a look at the Edit menu. The Edit menu has some pretty similar commands we've seen in most Windows-based applications. You can undo and redo options. You can paste without formatting. You can cut, copy. You can delete a particular item. So if I were to select this picture, go to my Edit menu, the option to delete or duplicate the picture would be allowed. I can send this to the clipboard. I can select everything, and I can choose Find and Replace. Choosing Find and Replace, I can say graphic, and I want to replace it with picture. So I could select that and click Next or Previous and replace anything that had that word. Oop, I just noticed I had an incorrect spelling. So I could replace graphic with picture, and after I've completed, I could just close out of that box. Find and Replace is a pretty neat option. It allows you to update a name or a date or an event without necessarily having to redo the entire document or the entire presentation. So the last menu that we're going to take a look at is the View menu. The View menu has some pretty standard options as well. You can present, which would actually show your presentation. You can, of course, use the present option in the top right corner. In the View menu, you can see your animations, view your master, and determine whether you want this to be 50, 100%, or 200%. You can zoom in, or you can zoom out, depending upon what it is that you're doing. So it's interesting to note that they have shortcut commands. So if you press the Control, Alt, and the plus key, you can actually do this from the keyboard. So if you're presenting, you can actually zoom in on a particular item that you may want your students to see. The Snap To is also pretty basic. When you're building your presentation, you can have a grid, or you can have the lines, the guidelines, so that you can really place objects on your slide efficiently. You can also choose this as an HTML view. You can show spelling suggestions, show speaker notes, and of course go to full screen. If you select full screen, all you have to do is press the Escape key, and that will bounce you back. So that's just a short presentation about the File, Edit, and View menus. Next week, we'll finish off our Google Slides training by looking at a few items in the Format, Arrange, Tools, Table, and Help menu.